Now, CPAC. I don't know if you get this same impression, but it seems to me that the drive-bys are spending more time covering everything at CPAC this year than they normally do. Now, C-SPAN is there for the most part wall-to-wall every year, but some of these cable networks are also going wall-to-wall with it. There is a fascination what's happening there, and it's actually good because there are a lot of really, really great future stars that are on display, and they're not holding back. Rubio was fabulous. Alan West was fabulous to kick the whole thing off. Rick Perry yesterday just tore the place up. He said the popular narrative is that this country has shifted away from conservative ideals, as evidenced by the last two presidential elections. That's what they think. That's what they say. And that might be true if Republicans had actually nominated conservative candidates in 2008 and 2012, but they didn't. So Rick Perry slamming McCain and slamming Romney, saying they're not conservative. Then Pat Caddell, we have, this is unfortunate, we have scoured everywhere. We called C-SPAN. We looked at every cable network. We cannot find any video to cull audio from of Pat Caddell. But Pat Caddell blew the place up as well. Now, he's a Fox News contributor, a Democrat pollster. He worked for Jimmy Carter in 1976. And he's still a Democrat. He's a frustrated Democrat, but he still is. And he blew the lid off of CPAC 2 days ago. And his message was that the Republican consultants class is taking the party down the tubes, that they're making filthy amounts of money, $150 million a campaign, whether the candidate wins or loses. And it's a closed set, so to speak. It's a very close-knit, closed group, these consultants, and they trade candidates and candidacies from year to year, and they go back and forth. They're all moderates. None of them are really conservative. They say they are. They think they've got the recipe. And what I told you about all these consultants, what they do, the way they approach all these Republicans, is they say it's independence where elections are won. Now, keep this in mind, folks, because this whole theory was also blown up in the last election. They go to the candidate, look, independence. You know that the Democrats are going to get their Democrat voters, and you're going to get your Republican. The independence, and I'm the guy, I'm the consultant that can devise the strategy and the ad campaign to get the independent. And the candidates fall for it year after year after year. Now, back to this consultant business. You know, we discussed this, I don't know how often, but frequently on this program. And there's a formula that these guys use, and they pitch these candidates with the formula, and the candidates seem to routinely go for it. And the formula is this. The Democrats are automatically going to get 40% of the vote. That's their base. The Republicans are going to automatically get 40% of the vote, their base. Grand total 80. And therefore, every election is won. But who gets the majority of that 20%? And that is why we end up being so frustrated with Republican campaigns. It's by definition, they're not going to campaign as conservatives. They think people in the middle, these great moderate independents, aren't conservative. And furthermore, they think that conservatism scares these people. And they make no effort to educate or inform or correct that impression. They just accept it and then proceed on the assumption that these people in the 20% don't have any core principles or beliefs. And so you got to go out and buy their votes or cajole them one way or the other. And so they go to the candidate and say, look, we're the guys that know best how to get that 20%. Now, we got the right ad campaigns. We've got the great polling units. We do the focus groups. And the candidates fall for it. And so every presidential campaign ends up being about 20% of the vote, at least on our side. And the assumption is made that the conservative wing is going to automatically vote for the Republican candidate, so no effort is made. And that's exactly what did Romney in 2012. This theory that these guys have was blown through the roof. Romney won independents over Obama by double digits and lost the election. That's never been done before. Usually whoever does win the independence wins, but you must also get your base out at the same time. So Romney, toward the end of the campaign, put on the brakes. After that first debate with Obama, they convinced him, back off, you've made your point. So don't do anything to make the independents mad. I don't know about you, but this has been something that irritates me because it's a liberal trick. Don't criticize Obama. Oh, people don't want to hear that. No, be conciliatory. Talk about bipartisanship. Talk about compromise. Talk about working and crossing the aisle and all that. That's what people want. And I've always been confused by it because we're told that any time a Republican gets aggressive, any time a Republican starts attacking or trying to define his opponent, the independents get scared to death and they're going to run right back to the arms of the Democrat candidate. Except the problem I've always had is that Democrats are the meanest, most extreme, insufferable. There's nothing nice about them. They never talk about bipartisan. Well, Obama talks about it. That's the key. But they're not interested in it. They never compromise. They don't do anything. And look at how they talk about Republicans. Somehow that doesn't scare the independents. The Democrats can say anything in the world about our candidates. They can lie about it. They can accuse Romney of letting a guy's wife die with cancer. They can accuse Romney of not caring about his dog and putting him on a roof of the family sedan on a vacation. They can accuse Romney of not paying his taxes, hiding money in the Caymans. Somehow that never bothers the independents. But they convinced Romney, if you go after Obama on Benghazi, the independents aren't going to like it. You just don't do it. So Romney sat there and went into prevent defense after the first debate. And you know what happened? He won the independents, just like these brainiacs said. He won the independents double digits, but 4 million conservatives sat home and didn't vote. If the consultants had had a different theory, if Romney had followed his instincts a little bit more, I know he wanted to go after Obama. There's nobody in the world that doesn't. It's just everybody's been scared off of it because of race, the allegation of racism, so he dialed it back, and we all see the result. And what happened with that is that the conservative base said, you know what, I'm not fired up here. There's no reason. They're fed up. They send all the money to the Republican Party. They get nothing back for it, so they just stayed home. Now, some of you might say, but didn't they realize what absolute disaster 4 more years of Obama? Well, yeah, I think they did, but they had so much more negative emotion aimed at the Republicans than they did at Obama. So they sat home. And Obama got many millions fewer voters in 2012 than he did in 2008. And Romney got 4 million fewer Republican votes than McCain did. That's hard to do, but he did it. And if that hadn't happened, we would be talking about President Romney today. So this is what, Caddell and the rest of these guys are watching all this, and they're beside themselves. They cannot understand how this continues to happen while Republicans continue to lose, and while it all goes on, the consultants are getting rich, to the tune of hundreds of millions of dollars rich. One of the ways it works is that the consultant gets the advertising commission. Every dollar spent on advertising, there's a 15% sales commission on it. The advertising agency gets. In this case, the consultant is the agency. So if the consultant decides, we're going to spend, pick a number, $100 million on advertising. He's writing a check to himself for $15 million. And it doesn't matter whether the candidate wins or loses. And it doesn't matter whether the ads are any good. So this is what Caddell, this is the foundation for Caddell's speech at CPAC. And he said, I blame the donors who allow themselves to be played for marks. I blame the people in the grassroots for allowing themselves to be played for suckers. It's time to stop being marks. It's time to stop being suckers. It's time for you people to get real. And the audience, but he was on a panel with 2 Republican consultants. And then he said this, and like I said, we searched around the world for video and audio of this to let you hear it in his own words, so we can't find it. I don't think there is any. He said, when you have the chief of staff of the Republican National Committee and the political director of the Romney campaign and their two companies get $150 million at the end of the campaign for their fantastic Get Out the Vote program, some of this borders on RICO violations. Racketeering is what Caddell essentially is accusing these people of engaging in. Get Out the Vote program. There is nobody that deserved a dime for the Republican Get Out the Vote program. You had 4 million Republicans sit home. What Get Out the Vote program? No, I know. I'm making myself a huge target of the consultants, but this is not the first time. They're not big fans of mine anyway. They're not big fans of conservatives anyway. I mean, the consultant class was among the group of people leading the charge. The era of Reagan is over. Hey, why do you need a consultant? If you've got a blueprint that shows how to win 2 landslides and it's the Reagan campaign, you don't need a consultant, right? You just got to figure out what did Reagan do and emulate it. You know, make adjustments for the changing demographic or the changing electorate, but basically you run a campaign of core beliefs and principles, and you don't do demographic. When you as a political party reach out with a different message for that group and a different message for this group, which is what the consultants advise. Okay, you're going to talk to the Hispanics, and we'll let them know you're for amnesty. You're going to try to get the women's vote. Let them know that you're a little maybe open-minded. You maybe might not going to fight Roe versus Wade so much. In the meantime, you rip the core foundation right out from underneath your party. And what do? You fragment. Fragment the party and you blow it. That's exactly what has happened here. Because I don't think the party knows what it is anymore. It's certainly not confident where it is. And so, a totally defensive posture. And in many cases, this is the attitude that is transferred to these campaigns. Caddell said, the Republican Party is in the grips of what I call the CLEC, C-L-E-C, the Consultant Lobbyist Establishment Complex. And he described the Consultant Lobbyist Establishment Complex as a self-serving, interconnected network of individuals and organizations interested in preserving their own power far more than they are interested in winning elections. And he said, to prove it, just follow the money. It's all there in the newspaper. The way it works is this. Ever since we centralized politics in Washington, the House Campaign Committee, the Senate Campaign Committee, they decide who they think should run. You hire these people on the accredited consultant list. Otherwise, we won't give you any money. You hire my friend. What he means is you got some senator will run the Senate, Republican Senatorial Campaign Committee. Job is to get as many Republicans elected to the Senate as possible. So, candidate Ted Cruz, just pick a name, is running for the Senate in Texas. So what happens is the Washington-based party goes to Cruz and said, here, hire this consultant or we're not going to give you any money. Now, I don't know if this happened with Cruz. I'm just using him as an example. He's a well-known name and he ran and he won. But the way it works is, here, hire this consultant and we'll make sure you get the money. It's a very closed group. And so what Caddell is alleging here is that the most important thing in a campaign is hiring the consultant. That's how you get campaign contributions. The consultant gets paid, and that's how we all stay in business. And whether or not you win the election, it's an afterthought. That's what he's accusing these people of, and that's what he said in his CPAC speech. Let me conclude this Pat Caddell business with the Republican consultant. This stuff is really, really important. If you want to, people, why did we lose the election? Because everybody thought we were going to win that. I mean, everybody thought the polls are wrong, and had the turnout reflected the possible conservative enthusiasm out there, Romney would have won. But there was this ignore the conservatives, take them for granted, They're going to be there, and if they're not, don't care. Just go for the independents. Go for that chunk of people in the middle. And as I say, Romney in the five battleground states. This is the precise statistic, because overall in all states, Romney won independents by 5%. But in the battleground states, in 5 battleground states, he won independents by 10 to 12% and lost the election. And all these wizards of smart were stunned. They couldn't believe it. Now, Caddell at CPAC said, look, as a Democrat, he could tell people the truth about the failings of the Republicans and their 2012 campaign effort. He said, I have no interest in the Republican Party. In my party, he said, the Democrat Party, we play to win. We play for life and death. You Republicans play for a different kind of agenda. Your party has no problem playing the Washington Generals to the Harlem Globetrotters. You're happy to be walked all over the place. You're just happy to be in the game. You're happy to be acknowledged. And he does not know how right he is. Washington is a town run by the left. It's run by liberal Democrats, and not just in the power sense in politics, but socially as well. And everybody wants to be liked. I tell you, folks, I really believe the pursuit to make everybody like you is the greatest prison you can put yourself in, because you end up denying who you really are. You're afraid to be who you really are. If your quest is to be liked, if your quest is to be accepted, and everybody wants to be, this is what's so hard about it. We're all raised to make people like us. We're all raised, don't you offend me, Mom and Dad say. Don't you make our family look bad, Mom and Dad say. You better, they better like you. And in high school, everybody wants to be the big clique. I mean, it's seductive to be popular, to be liked. But I think generally in life, in politics particularly, if you pursue that course of being liked and you go overboard on it, you cease being who you are. And you end up not even knowing who you are. Try to be all things to all people. Can't be done. And I think the Republicans have been so beat up by the media over the years. And the media and the Democrats run that town where they live. Nobody wants to get beat up. Nobody wants to be savaged in the media. Nobody wants to be accused of being a racist, sexist, bigot, homophobe. And particularly racist. Nobody wants that. So they hands off Obama. But it never works. This effort to make themselves liked they never gain respect. What the Democrats want is for every Republican to be like Bob Michael, the guy who used to run the Republican House back in the 70s and 80s. Just be content there with being perennial losers. Know your place. And that's what Caddell says. Our party, Democrats, we go for the jugular. We play for life and death. You guys are happy to be the patsies. He said to the CPAC audience, Mitt Romney failed to back his own campaign with his own money when it was most needed. So my question for Romney is, you spent $45 million of your own money in your 2008 campaign where you didn't have a chance. Why didn't you give your campaign a loan in the spring instead of letting Obama define you? And then when Romney did not go after Obama on Benghazi in the last debate, the last 2 debates, I remember seeing Caddell on TV beside himself. But he launched both barrels. He let them have it.